How's everyone doing? Ready to start? Yes, these guys in the front, yes. Okay, I am so happy to be here with you all this morning. My name is Caitlin, and I am here representing Data Essential. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with us, but we are a global food and beverage insights platform. We focus on menu, consumer, and marketplace trends, and today I'm going to dive into the state of value. So we're going to look at how value has evolved on menus over the last few years, but then also dive into the consumer mindset and how their definition of value has changed with these changing menu prices. So let's start by talking about just the market overall. So more than half of consumers are worried about inflation, 65%. Good news, fewer consumers than last year are, but in this current economic state, this is changing every single day. So although it is down quite a bit from last year, next month, when there's new tariffs or new concerns that consumers are worried about, this is going to change. But 65% is still a large number of people who are worried about inflation. So how is this affecting their food service dining? Well, they're adopting different strategies around how they're going to save money. And a lot of it is stuff that we've seen before, right? I'm not going to order a beverage. I'm going to look for cheaper menu items instead of the steak. I'm going to get the burger, whatever it might be in terms of trade-offs. But we've also seen an increase in terms of the number of consumers who stated that they're not implementing any cost-cutting strategies and they're just going to go out and order what they want. Not a huge percent. Don't everyone start cheering and getting excited about this just yet. It still is only 30% of consumers indicating that they are not implementing any cost-cutting strategies. And it's important to note that even though they might not be implementing cost-cutting strategies, all of them, consumers are definitely noticing price increases. We've all seen it. We as consumers have also noticed it, I'm sure. Specifically, they're noticing it and recognizing it with quick service fast food restaurants. They've really been noticing those price increases. So let's take a look at how menus have evolved, and we can first focus on QSRs. So quick service restaurants, you might all know, they rely pretty heavily on combo meals, value meals. And since 2020, we have definitely seen an increase in the number of combo meal launches. So at Data Essential, we're able to track major chain, new item launches, and LTOs. And as you can see, there is an increase over the last few years. There was a decline in Q4 of 2023, but overall, there has been an overwhelming increase in the number of QSRs that are launching combo meals or value meals because they also are recognizing consumers looking for value, especially as they've had to increase their prices. But the question comes, okay, you're adding combo meals or value menu items to your menu. What's the sweet spot? Is it impacting consumers' thoughts around value? And I know this is definitely a data chart, so bear with me. On the one vertical here, you're going to see value, and across the bottom, you'll see price. And what you're noticing is that between $5 and $10 is really kind of the sweet spot when you think of price point. Here, you're getting the most dollars without having a strong impact on price. When you go above $10, that's where we see consumers shifting their perception of value in terms of now they're feeling like they're not getting good value for the dollar. So that single digit dollars, those seem to be really resonating with consumers in terms of when they feel like they're getting value. If you could keep it below that $10, that seems to be working really well. Because we do see a strong correlation between value and price, right? I mean, there's at the end of the day, if you're spending too much for something, it's not a good value. Back in 2019, you'll see that our average price point for combo meals was around $5. And in 2020, it increased almost up to $8. And we saw a dramatic decline in consumers' perceived value then. And as prices continue to hover around $8 for combo meals, that value perception kind of remained closer to 50% versus 60% when it was that lower price point. But we're not just seeing price increases at QSR, we're also seeing it at casual dining. More so, though, in certain areas of casual dining. So we are able to look at the data by major chains, so those with over 100 units versus independents, operators with just 1 unit. And you'll see that those major chains, they have historically lower price points. So if we isolate just one item on the menu, let's say burgers, the median price for those major chains at casual dining for a burger is around $15, where independents, they historically do have slightly higher prices, and the median price is $16 at those independents. But what you're seeing here is those major chains who historically have been less expensive, they are increasing prices at a higher rate and faster rate than independents. And we have done this analysis for more than just one menu item, right? We've done this for salads and burgers. Here's another example of tacos as well. And at the end of the day, prices are higher at independents, but the rate at which prices are increasing at major chains is definitely shrinking that gap now. And so as you think about historically where consumers have been going for value, it's been QSR, it's been major chains at casual dining. But if those prices, that gap between the two of them is shrinking, what is consumers' perception of value now? And that's where it's going to become much more important to notice and recognize that value isn't just about price anymore. It's really about taste and quality as well. We ask consumers what factors determine good value at restaurants, and you'll see that great taste and quality of products are 20 points higher than price alone. And we're seeing combo meals being launched across the board. You'll see that consumers also are finding that about a quarter of them are saying combo meals, yeah, they're a good value. But we're starting to realize that casual dining actually offers a really great value proposition as well. Because if I'm spending now $10 for a combo meal at Five Guys or McDonald's, I can go to Applebee's and get the same thing. And I have service, I have great quality. So as these price points across the different segments and different chain sizes start to shrink, we have to differentiate ourselves and also recognize that a great product, really premium ingredients for the same price as the guys down the street who don't have as great of an offering, that's where you're really going to be able to win when it comes to value. But we're seeing this blurring of segments. This is not just something that us in the industry, we're recognizing. Consumers recognize it too. They don't care about the style of the restaurant anymore, right? Casual dining, fast casual, QSR, at the end of the day, they don't care the way that they used to. But operators also are starting to recognize competition from other segments as well. It's all about how can we gain that traffic? How can we gain that visitation? And now as you have if you're a QSR and you have a casual dining restaurant down the street that's offering a similar product at the same price point, that is a big deal now. And we're seeing more and more of that. But with that, we're also seeing a shift in how consumers define luxury as well. Remember the days when you would go to a fancy restaurant and it would have a white tablecloth? And guys, you can't wear a baseball hat in there. Like, that's not it anymore. I'm not pointing at you. I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on the guys with hats. But it's just different. Now it's just about being served, right? It's just about someone else serving the food to you, not doing the dishes. That's now becoming the definition of luxury. It's not getting all dolled up and going to some really fancy restaurant. And when it comes to memorable experiences, the service and presentation are number one. That is key. And I have a really embarrassing story, and you guys are gonna make fun of me, and I give you full permission to make fun of me about this. I took my kids about 6 months ago to Chick-fil-A for the first time. My kids are 9 and 7, but there's no Chick-fil-A by my house. So we were at my parents' house. We go to Chick-fil-A on the way home for lunch. It was potentially one of the most memorable experiences. I'm still talking about it 6 months later. It was so clean. We ate lunch and then someone came over and took our trays for us. There was a play section. My kids went and played and I sat alone in silence, and it was amazing. It was like, I cannot believe it took me this long to take my kids to Chick-fil-A. But in that moment, that was like heaven. That was luxury. That was memorable to me. It wasn't, again, some off-the-wall, expensive, crazy dinner. It was so simple and it was so memorable. Now, we mentioned that a sit-down experience is now more luxurious to consumers. It's not for everyone. Are there any Gen Zs in the room? I don't want to pick on anyone, but Gen Z, they need a little bit more like dog and pony show, right? Like they want theater, they want chef's table experience. They still want a little bit more because they want to put it on social media. So keep that in mind. The rest of us, yes, it's more about just having convenience, sitting down, having someone else serve us. Gen Z, they're the outliers here. They want a little bit more. But what's interesting, right, from a consumer perspective, things that are luxurious to us is being able to sit down, have someone else serve, not have to cook and clean up. The operator perspective, so the line in blue is consumers' response. The line in white is how operators think, what operators think consumers want when it comes to luxury. They think it's all still about premium ingredients. It is, but look at how low they rated some of these other aspects that are important to consumers. So it's important for us to recognize that luxury is more than just premium products, and service is so important. We are all manufacturers and operators, so providing a really quality premium product is important to us, but we have to recognize that service is just as important. So as we think about what we can do to drive value, luxury, whatever that might be, to drive consumers into your restaurants, it's service, it's premium ingredients, it's quality. Those are the things that are gonna help you stand out. I mean, price is gonna be important, but we just talked about there's so much competition around price now, so you have to differentiate yourself. So let's take a look at some value plays beyond just price. So I mentioned that we do track LTOs and new product launches, and we are able to identify menu items that have high ratings around value. So here's a really interesting example. This is an example from Cracker Barrel. They launched a campfire skillet. Skillet doesn't seem like anything new to any of us. And for $11, that doesn't feel that cheap to me. That feels like kind of high for a skillet. But 70% rating on value, which is high for us. That's a really great score. And what's differentiating themselves here is a unique presentation. We talked about how service and presentation are key. The difference here is it's a skillet, but then they also wrap it in tinfoil when they bring it to you. So you unfold the tinfoil and you're getting all of that aroma from what's in that dish. There's a little bit more to the presentation and the experience overall, which is intriguing to consumers. And since it's an $11 price point, it still feels like a good value because there's more to it. So we're leaning into just providing more than value or a low price. Another way that we can lean into value is also by highlighting some trend relevant products. I'm not sure if anyone has tried a dirty soda. They're blowing up. I think I saw Pepsi and Coke are in there. Maybe stop by the booth. I'm sure they might have one there. But dirty sodas are a way for you to get a higher price point on a beverage. Gen Z absolutely loves it. And even though you're getting a higher price point, so $4 for this drink, it's a 60% rating, which again, for value, which is again, a really high score for value. It also has an 84 composite score, so it's getting high ratings for uniqueness and purchase intent as well. Another way to think about value, use the products that you have on hand, but add a global spin to it. Add a unique spin, and now all of a sudden, the perception is that it's a more premium item and you can get even pay more for it, and still the consumer feels like it's a good value for the dollar. A perfect example is Popeyes here. This is their Concha chicken sandwich. Guess what? They have plenty of chicken and pickles in their restaurant, but they're putting it on a different roll and charging $6. Great, good value for the dollar from a consumer perspective. We also do see consumers love globally inspired foods. So the more you can implement that into your menu with LTOs, another great way to draw in consumers, especially Gen Z. And just the last example that I have for you is a way to lean into little treat culture. Are you guys familiar with this? Some people are shaking their heads. We talk about this all the time. Little treat culture, just to give you some background, is essentially consumers not saving all of their dollars to get like that designer handbag or whatever it is. So they're cutting coffee out of their, the expensive latte out of their daily routine. Instead, they're leaning into that because they deserve it, because life is hard. And if I want to spend $10 on a latte, I'm going to spend $10 on a latte. So that is little treat culture, is giving yourself those little indulgences that you think you deserve. And we've been seeing more and more restaurants kind of playing into this. This is at Panera. It's just a little brownie cheesecake. It's $2. And you know what? At the end of the day, I deserved that little treat because I had a rough day. And it was only $2. And the value is fantastic. So just when we think about value, I think the key here is price is always going to be important. But if everyone else has a similar price point than you, what else can we do? Think global, think little treat culture, think different ways, different spins on your current menu that you can play into to differentiate yourself. And then one other trend that we're seeing, and I can wrap things up, is chicken wars. Remember the chicken wars? I loved the chicken wars. We used to have parties and order chicken sandwiches from all of the different restaurants and do blind taste tests. It was so fun. Well, they're coming back, but with a different spin. Everyone's just putting them in wraps. So that's the difference here, is that Popeyes, McDonald's, they're all bringing, McDonald's, right? It's their snack wrap. They're bringing it back. And this is a great way to lean into value because the price point of these are lower than the full sandwich, right? The premium sandwich is a bigger piece of meat on bread or a roll. This is a smaller chicken, and so you can now wrap it up and sell it at a lower price point, and people love it. So as you think again about ways to play into value, think about what you have on hand and how you can make shifts in order to lean into it. From a consumer perspective, just remember some things to take away here today is that consumers are less worried about inflation, but they are still price sensitive. I do not want you to go away from this and be like, oh, consumers don't care about money anymore. That's not the case. They still care about price. They are very much still price sensitive. And segment lines are blurring. The differentiation between major chains and independents, the differentiation between quick service and casual dine, it is all shifting very much, and it's hard to differentiate yourself in this type of a market. Your competition is growing, your customers, if you're an operator, you are feeling that competition. So how do you differentiate yourself? Understand what value means to consumers, understand that it does mean more than just price, but also how can you lean into luxury? Luxury is another way that you can get a higher price point, but what does that mean? It means better service. It means providing them with a very memorable meal in order to gain that traffic. I ended early, so does anyone have any questions?
Do you have a favorite chicken sandwich?
You know what? My friend made his own, so I have to say his. And then Chick-fil-A. Well, because of the memorable experience, absolutely. Anyone else? Questions? Well, I'm sticking around for a bit, so if you do have questions after this, please come. Oh, question? I think it's more quality. Oh, the question was quantity versus quality. In food service, I think quality is always going to be key. If you think about the chicken sandwich, right? It was all about the quality of the sandwich, not that you could get more for your, like a bigger version of it. It was really about premium ingredients. So as you think about value in food service, I do think quality is going to be key. What do you think? Okay. It's early, I know. I still need to get some coffee myself.
Do you mean like consistency versus quality?
I think consistency plays into quality. If you have an inconsistent product, it's not going to have a perception of good quality. And you need to be consistent, right? I mean, you have one bad experience and that could ruin it for you. So consistency will be key as well. Yeah.
Isn't the main attraction to quick food service the fact that it's quick? Like, is that how you have to differentiate? Do you have to be able to serve your Applebee's in under 30 minutes and still?
Well, I think the problem that we run into, that's a great question. I think the problem that we've run into is a lot of these casual dining restaurants now are pretty quick, right? You still now can do pickup, right? Curbside pickup. They have delivery options now. So again, some of the appeal to the quick service restaurant is that it was quick and that it had the ability to get delivery or drive through, and we're seeing casual dining play into some of that as well. I think also we were talking quality. Historically, casual dining was thought of as a more quality premium product, but we are seeing some really great products in quick service as well. I mean, really premium products. So again, we're seeing QSR take some of casual dining's playbook and casual dining take from QSR's playbook. So it's becoming a challenge in terms of how to really lean into that. But yes, I think one great strategy quick service should do is lean into the convenience factor of it. Yep.
Rather than go home and be laughed at by the dog, what is a dirty soda?
A dirty soda is a fountain drink with cream, essentially. It could be whipped cream or it's a different kind. Yeah, there's it's more of a like heavy cream type of a thing. Yeah. And you mix it and then you put whipped cream on top and it's this flavorful dirty soda. And again, you don't need a ton of additional products. If you have soda and you have the cream, you can just make this yourself. So, good question. How old's your daughter? Okay, yeah, then you need to know. You need to know that.
Caitlin, is there any data that says that full service, or we're calling it fine casual, where you're ordering at the counter, but then everything from that point on, we serve you. We get your refills, we do all sorts of, we do pre-bussing, we do engagement on desserts, things like that. Is it my partner is wanting to go to full service. Is there a disproportionate amount of, value, or are we gonna see growth in revenue? Because we think we would, ticket average, but is there some type of data that says, you know what, we're good and you wouldn't make exponentially that much more money if you went to that next step, which is putting a waiter in front of you?
Yeah, I think it depends on what's in your area and what the competition is. If you don't have a lot of that, you're differentiating yourself by offering that type of service. I think the thought is if you move to a more full service, you could potentially get a higher price point, but then the consumer is also going to have to tip and there's more to it. But if you also have a lot of competition near you, how are you differentiating yourself then? I mean, I think that's the key, is you really want to be able to differentiate yourself, especially with this growing competition. But I don't have the data offhand. Yep.
Any data on the GLP-1 job curbing people's appetites? How do you really value somebody that has an appetite?
We have quite a bit of data actually on GLP-1. That's a very hot topic. What we're seeing a lot of operators lean into is the protein aspect of it. So when you are on these types of medications, they recommend that you increase your protein take because your muscle mass can shrink. In order to keep your muscle mass healthy, they suggest protein. So we're even seeing on menus and advertisements more restaurants saying like protein rich, or even putting the grams of protein on and really emphasizing the level of protein as a way to draw in those types of consumers. They also, yes, it does curb your appetite, but they're still they still have to eat and they are going out. But I think in order to potentially appeal to that demographic, we're seeing a lot of protein focused items and really emphasizing that. Yeah.
Can you speak to any third-party delivery service or like our business is like sort of Meals on Wheels modernized?
Yeah.
Oh. Do you have any data that speaks to third-party delivery services at this point, or that you can share today?
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that is I don't know if I don't want to flip through the whole thing, but in the earlier slide around price increases, that's one of the areas that consumers haven't felt as much of a price increase. They were kind of lower on the bar in terms of delivery fees and things like that. I think that's an interesting space because you have the big guys and there's not as many smaller regional players, I feel like, because the big guys are stealing all of just acquiring them. But in terms of data, what type of data are you looking for?
I guess, relevant to this room might be impact it's having on, right? We deliver a Tuesday night meal, right? Folks are probably, they're incorporating what we make into their regular food preparations for the week, right? That's how we see it anyway. But we know that folks are still going out to restaurants. I don't think we're changing that. I think we're just making meals at home easier.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess also, how are you defining third-party delivery? Is it like the Instacarts and Uber Eats, or is it someone making something and delivering it?
It is the Uber Eats, DoorDashes, those of the world.
Okay.
Is how we define those.
So that's still pulling from restaurants and not really.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Are you pulling from restaurants?
No, we're making it.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to talk to you. I'd like to learn more. Yep.
Do you have any data or statistics? I know the top chains are doing ghost kitchens.
Oh, yeah.
Stopped, or is there any data that shows that it does make sense for a local brand to completely rely on third party using the existing infrastructure that they do have?
Yep.
And just go full board with Uber Eats and those third party apps where it doesn't interfere with your current operations to try to go revenue in a different vertical?
You know what? We saw that really taking off during COVID, obviously. And what's interesting is we haven't seen as much growth there, but it's still around. And I think it depends on where your location is. So, we see a lot of ghost kitchens, I think, in really highly populated, like urban areas. But then I think a great opportunity is probably your more rural areas where there isn't as much variety in terms of what's available. And so you could really lean into that option there. But we're not necessarily seeing the tremendous growth like we saw in 2020. Okay, guys. Well, I'll stick around. If you have any questions, come say hi. And thank you, guys. I know it's early, but I appreciate you all attending and also partaking. So thank you.